If you don't know me, my name is Dorinda Smith. We come here every Sunday to come together in community and talk about chronic illness and autoimmune disease from a scientific perspective. You absolutely can feel better. You are not permanently broken. Yes, your body can heal, and your body can heal at many levels, at the genetic level, at the cellular level. It doesn't matter what the chronic illness is, it doesn't matter what the autoimmune disease is, and you should not be chasing the diagnosis. You should be looking for the bottom line root cause. And so today we're going to talk about the precision root cause healthcare system, what you need to do, the different steps that you need to walk through in order to get your health back, in order to actually reverse the symptoms that you're feeling right now. And please don't get me wrong. I am not promising 100% perfection. I myself am reversed of 7 autoimmune diseases and severe fibromyalgia, but I still consider myself about 95% healed. And that's after 10 years of continuing to work on my health. And I feel fantastic. I really, really do. Actually, I feel better than I've ever felt, even back when I was a teenager. And as you can see, I'm no young spring chicken. So, if I can reverse very severe autoimmune diseases, and I was in my 50s when I first started learning how to do this, then you know what? I'll bet that you can do more for your health as well. And so, my clinic, which is the Cellular Healing and Longevity Center, we've been around for 10 years now. We have literally helped thousands of people learn how to heal. And it really is an awesome system that we teach to regular, everyday people that have started having problems with various different symptoms and signs, and of course all the confusion and all the worry and all the craziness that goes with that. We get it, because I struggled with that myself, and most of the people on my team have as well. We know that you can use the latest science by doing something about your root causes. And we do know what those root causes are now. At least we know most of them. We know the biggest ones that are causing your chronic inflammation and therefore causing your symptoms. So today, I want to make sure that that people can get an overall picture of exactly what the steps look like when it comes to getting your health back, getting your body back, or even getting to a place where you've never been. Maybe you're like me. And even when you were a young kid, you were never really perfectly healthy. You always had some problems. And, so my goal is to teach you the latest science. And that's what this community is all about. And we are a Christian based community. You will hear me talking about Jesus regularly. And that's a good thing, because we need to ground you in truth. We need to help you to understand that when you're healing, it is not just about healing physically. Your whole life is really about developing and knowing and being able to do the purpose that God created you to do. And so, of course, anything that we go through in life that is hard, that is difficult, including your health problems, it's there for a purpose. It's there to help you to grow and help you to learn. And yes, you absolutely can grow and learn and become an amazing, more vibrant, more mature, just a much better person by walking through a challenging health journey. And, every person who's ever worked with us will tell you the same thing, that this journey that you're embarking on to take care of your health, it's a beautiful one. It's a challenging one. And that's why we call our movement the Rise and Heal Challenge, because it really is. It's a challenge. It's a growth phase of your life. And you really do need to look at it that way. You really do need to understand that God did create your body with everything it needs to heal and to feel better and to do good work. But you just need to have the knowledge to know how to do that. Okay. And so here is the precision root cause healthcare system. And of course, this comes from the science. And I put a lot of those scientific links in my book. And as I'm walking through the system, I will be telling you very specifically what the root causes are that go with that step. This is the thing that confuses people the most. People think the first thing I have to do is I have to get to a doctor, I have to get to a specialist, and they need to diagnose what illness I have. And according to the science right now, that's wrong, because that is only going to allow a doctor to treat your symptoms, not to treat your root causes. And that's the way conventional medicine is nowadays. Now, I please don't hear me speak in black and white terms, okay? I'm not talking about everything, but I am speaking very specifically about chronic inflammatory issues that are causing a multitude of symptoms that cause most chronic illnesses, that cause nearly all the autoimmune diseases, the metabolic diseases. This is this is a fact, and scientists know this now. And so there is this whole evolution of medicine that's happening, and you need to know about it. You need to know that we do know what the root causes are for the most part, and yes, you can fix them. Okay? Yes, you do have control over your health. No, you are not permanently broken. Okay? And you have to know that. You cannot continue operating in a mindset that says, well, okay, I've got these symptoms now, so therefore I'm going to have them forever. Or a doctor diagnosed me with lupus or scleroderma, and since they're idiopathic and they have no known root causes, therefore I'm broken forever because that's what the doctor told me. And if that's what you believe, I'm going to say something really hard. If you choose to believe that, you will only stay sick and you will actually get worse. Okay? But if you believe that there is a better way, if you believe, like the many hundreds of thousands of people who have reversed their autoimmune diseases, if you believe like us and you choose to look at the root cause level, what science says are the root causes, and you choose to do something about those, you choose to actually change the way you take care of yourself. Oh boy. This is where your healing starts. And yeah, there is so much hope there. It's not just a little bit of hope. You know, I once had a wonderful rheumatologist when I was very ill, but you know, she was wrong, because when I started asking her questions about the root causes and I started diving into the genetic and the nutritional factors, the way food affects the way your genes are expressed. And when I started talking about those specific biochemical reactions with her, she said, yeah, you know, that's probably only going to help you about 5%. So you can go ahead and eat whatever you want. It's really not going to make that big of a difference. You're going to need these medications for the rest of your life. She was wrong. She was wrong, because I was on 20 different medications. 12 of them I had to take every single day. The other 8 were for, you know, really bad days. You know, those were the strong oxycodone, the really strong pain medications. I am no longer on any of them. And I haven't been for about 10 years. Nothing. Nothing. That's how well this works. Okay. So don't believe that your nutrition or that your lifestyle practices are not important, because they're some of the main things that have caused your chronic illness in the first place. And that's not your fault. You didn't know. Okay. You just didn't know. But now that you're sitting here with me, if you choose to watch this video, you will learn just like I did. And then you can't unlearn it. And once you learn how to get your health back, Now this opens a whole new life for you. And it's a life that you were created to live, because here's the biggest part of why I do what I do. You were not created to be stuck in a cage of chronic illness. You were created to fly and to soar and to be everything that God created you to be. But how many of us know that it's very difficult to live a life full of purpose and vibrancy when you feel like crap all the time? And when you never know when your symptoms are going to take control and you're not going to be able to do the things that you really do want to do, right? And most people just don't understand this. If they've never been completely struck down and completely controlled by a chronic illness or autoimmune disease, they don't get it. They don't get it. They don't understand. They can't see what's going on inside of your body. But look, we've been there. We know how hard this is. And we also know that there is a way out. And so I'm going to go over the main things that you need to do in order to get better right now. Okay. I'm going to take you through a step by step process that we have trademarked here. And it's called the Precision Root Cause Healthcare System. And this system is taught to everyday people who are suffering with chronic illness. It is also taught to doctors, nurse practitioners, and health coaches in a certification program. And we've been able to help people all around the world. So listen up. We do have the answers now. And that's the main hope that you need to hear. Okay. So, step number one to getting your health back is you need to work at the mitochondrial level. Now, most people kind of forget when I say mitochondria, they're like, hi. Yeah. So, the mitochondria are tiny little cells within most of your cells that produce your energy, but they not only produce your energy, according to the latest science, they are controlling whether you feel good or not. They are controlling how your brain works, how all your organs work, how your immune system protects you, how your gut works, how everything works. And if your mitochondria are not happy, you are not going to be happy and you are going to be sick. You are also going to start having problems with developing cancers. Okay. The mitochondria have so much to do with cancer. Cancer is really no longer considered a genetic issue like we used to think. That's old dogma. Same with you. Okay? Your disease is not mostly a genetic issue. I'm going to get to that next. But step number one is you have to work at the mitochondrial level, and you have to be taught how to do that. And these things are very, very easy to do. Yes, it does mean that you need to change the way you take care of yourself. There's certain things you need to do in the morning, certain things you need to do in the evening, certain foods that you need to eat, certain foods that you need to stop eating. But taking care of your mitochondria is not that hard to do once you know how to do it. It really does make a world of difference. And it makes such a big difference that this is where we start everyone. We give everyone a very low cost program. It's 27 bucks, for crying out loud. We do that on purpose so that anyone can start working on their mitochondrial health. Anyone can. Anyone can afford to do this. It is not hard. It is easy. It is cheap. Anyone can learn how to do this. And yes, you can too. And you must start there. If you don't start there, you will not be able to get full healing. Your mitochondria have to have everything that they need to produce the energy so that all the other cells in your body can do their healing work. If they don't have enough energy, nothing's going to happen. It's kind of like having a Lamborghini parked in your garage, but you don't put gas in it, so it's not going anywhere. Okay. And it's the same thing with your body. And this is not according to Dory, this is according to the latest science. Healing starts at the mitochondrial level. Okay. So we start number one right there. And we know that if people really take this seriously and actually do what they need to do, they can really start having more energy within about 30 days. Okay. Now, these are even people who are really ill and have been ill for a long time. And that's often very surprising to people that they can actually start feeling a difference. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to go from being very sick to being perfectly well in 30 days. Please. I mean, that would be ridiculous. Anyone that tells you that, you need to run the other direction because there's probably a lot of different root causes that we need to look at for you. But I am saying that if you start taking care of your mitochondria the way science says you're supposed to be taking care of your mitochondria and doing everything for those cells, you will start noticing a difference. You can't not notice a difference when you're doing everything you can to support your mitochondria and your energy production. You will start noticing that things get a little bit better. And you will notice it in multiple ways. You will notice that your brain fog gets better. You will notice that you start to lose a little bit of weight. You will notice that the aches and the pains and the sluggishness just feel a little bit better, and people's hormones get better. So they feel just a little more happier. This is all just good stuff that every single person needs to learn. When we get to the end of this video, I'll make sure that I put a link for the energy regeneration mitochondrial program, that $27 program. So that's step one. Now, step two, you need to look at the genetic level. So, what did I just say a minute ago? I just said that it's not the fault of your genes. Just because your parents or other people in your family have some similar problems to you does not mean that it's because of your genetics. Now, this is old school dogma. This is stuff we used to believe 20, 30 years ago. Scientists know now that everything that you're doing for your health is much more important than the genes that you were born with. That's what it boils down to. However, 2 to 10% of your illness does have something to do with the way your genes are expressing. Okay. And so it's very, very important that that fundamental step, once you've worked on your energy health and you've got those lifestyle practices and those nutritional practices in place, then it's time to step up to the genetic foundation and do a good genetics test. Look to see what particular genetic predispositions you have that are affecting your illness. And then there are very specific ways to turn on the good genes and turn off the bad genes. That's just an easy way to explain it. But yes, you want to help genes that are struggling, that maybe have a mutation and aren't giving you everything that you need for function. Okay. And if there are genes that are actually overexpressing, there are ways to get those genes to calm down so that you don't produce all the extra inflammation and therefore all the symptoms. Okay. So your mitochondria and energy health are step one. Your genetics is step two. And you can do them both at the same time. I'm not saying you have to do them in sequential order. You could do them at the same time. You can do them one by one. It really doesn't matter, because if you start learning and start doing these things, you will get better and better and better over time. Okay. Now, step two, the genetics, also involves matching your food and your lifestyle practices and your supplementation exactly to your particular unique genetics. Okay. So, yes, you have to change nutrition and lifestyle and supplementation based on your mitochondria health. Okay. But that is a little more general in the beginning. Then, once you step up to the foundation of your genetics, now we could get extremely specific. And this is where the precision root cause work comes in. Now we can see those particular genetic root causes that are unique to you that we can actually take action upon. We can actually change the way your genes express. This is huge. And this is a huge missing piece of the puzzle when you go to, even a good functional medicine doctor or a good integrative doctor that even is looking for some of these root causes. They often miss that genetic piece. They often miss the mitochondrial piece that are so foundational to you healing according to the science. Okay. All right. So we got step one, we got step two. Now we need step three. And step three is very specific for your cells. And we need to know what your cells have in order to do the job they need to do. But we also need to know what they don't have. And wow, I've been running these advanced cellular tests for 10 years now. And I will tell you that we see massive amounts of cellular deficiencies, just things that your cells are missing across the board in chronic illness patients. Okay. Across the board. You guys are missing so much that it's actually amazing that God created our bodies that we can still function at all when we're missing so many things that are absolutely critical to us feeling good. And it's no wonder we don't feel good. And these things are, again, easy to fix. Once you do this advanced testing, and this is not the same tests that your doctor has to check for your B vitamins or or your vitamin A or your vitamin D. Okay, those are blood tests and they're fine. They give us some clues, but they're not the intercellular testing that we really need to see whether those nutrients were able to be digested and to be absorbed and then to be able to cross the cellular membrane to get inside the cell in order to do their work and then actually do the work. Is the cell actually doing the work with that nutrient and then spitting out the metabolite on the back end? And that's what we're actually testing. We're actually testing the metabolites, which is so advanced. It's so cool. And it really is a game changer because once you see whether your cells are actually able to process the vitamin D that you're taking, or the B vitamins, or whatever it is, right? Or just the food that you're eating. And once you can see exactly how the cell is working, then you can go about fixing things. You can take action in very precise ways to fix those exact problems that we see at the intercellular level. So that's step three, a game changer. Okay. And there are scientists out there who will tell you that that's really all you need to do. Now, I don't believe that because, I've helped thousands of people. I know what works. Okay. And I know what worked in me and I know what works in them. Um, but there are scientists who say that if you simply do that basic work, you work at the mitochondrial level and you work at giving the cells exactly what they need to heal, that your body will do the rest and you will heal. And I believe that to an extent. Okay. But here's step four. And this is a huge step that many, many, many doctors miss. Well, most conventional doctors miss it. It's very rare to see a conventional doctor test for genetics, test for your mitochondrial health, test for your cellular deficiencies at the intercellular level, not just at the blood level. But then the next step, step four, is to test for the toxic substances that are blocking healing. Okay. And you guys, if you don't know already, my background is I am an immunotoxicologist, which means I was taught to study how toxins affect your immune system. And we've known this for for as long as we've known about medicine, that the more toxins you have in the body, the sicker you are. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Okay, that's a big fat duh. But what we know now with all the science that we have is that, wow, the toxins really are the biggest part of why you're sick. Okay. And they're coming in all around you now. Now, things were different a couple of hundred years ago when we didn't have processed foods and when we didn't have all the chemicals and our all of our food wasn't sprayed with glyphosate and pesticides and herbicides, and we were constantly bombarded with toxins of all kinds, including the stressful toxins and including the really bad viruses. I'm not going to go into controversy stage today. I'm going to keep it simple. But there's a lot of stuff that we're exposed to, and it's too much is basically what scientists are saying, is that it's just too much, that our bodies were not created to handle. Our bodies can handle quite a bit because we're all still alive and walking around, okay, but our bodies cannot handle this level of toxic overload. And here's what we see in practice. We see very clearly, the more we move the toxins out of the body, the better and better and better people get. And I've seen people who were diagnosed that were told they were going to die, told they were going to die, told there was nothing they could do. And we started removing toxins out of their system. First, we did the test. We saw what toxins were there. Then we very precisely did the protocols to move those toxins out of their body. And they got well. Okay. And so you need to know that step 4 is important. We can't just stop at step 3. Although I have had clients who, maybe they couldn't afford to do more testing or, whatever the reason was. And they still continued to slowly get better if they really worked on the first 3 steps. Okay. And that's why a lot of scientists, even people like Gary Brecka, are now saying, yeah, absolutely, that if you really work at the mitochondrial level, at the genetic level, and at the cellular level, and really give your cells everything that they need nutritionally, lifestyle practices, reduction of stress, all the good things, that then your body will start detoxing better, and it will start removing a lot of the chemicals and just the junk on its own. And you're also learning how not to dump all those things in, right? Now, I want you guys to tell me that this makes sense to you, because this is the science. This is how people are healing. This is what is helping people to feel better. And it works. It always works, so long as you're not continuing to dump the toxins into your body, or you're not continuing to be exposed, right? Now, if you're living in a home that has a lot of mold in it, and you're constantly being exposed to mold mycotoxin while you're working on these other things, you'll get a little better, but you won't get all the way better because you're still being exposed to the toxins that are making you sick. I hope that this makes sense to you, because this is very real. And you do have hope. You do have choices. You do not need to just take medications. And I'm not against big pharma. I'm not against using the medications. It took me about 2 years to walk through this process because I had been very ill my whole life. I had to stay on some of my pharmaceutical medications during that process. I was able to slowly wean off of them. Okay. Here's the thing. We're not supposed to be using pharmaceutical medications only to help your symptoms while not working on these root causes. And you need to know these root causes. The toxins destroy your mitochondrial health. The way you're eating destroys your mitochondrial health. The way you're living your lifestyle destroys your mitochondrial health. So therefore, you don't have enough energy. Step 1. Step 2, again, the toxins, the way you're eating, your lifestyle practices, your stress level, your mindset, the things that you're thinking, are causing your genes to express in a negative way that is leading to chronic inflammation and your symptoms, and therefore your disease. You fix those things, you start feeling a little bit better. You're actually doing them. You start feeling a little bit better. Step three, you see the tests. You see what your cells are actually missing, what they have and what they don't have, and you start giving those things back. Okay. Now, this whole process, what I just explained, step one, two, and three, you can do them all together and you can feel a lot better within just a few months. Within just a few months, you will start to get that little giddiness in your step because you will have taught yourself something, that you are not permanently broken, that you can have better control over the way you feel, that your symptoms do not completely control you, that you can take action, that you can do things to fix the way your body works and to fix the way your body feels. Okay. So step one, two, and three takes a few months. Okay. But then working on those toxins, step four. This is a really big deal. It really depends on what those toxins are, because I want to talk to you about all the different toxins that there are. Okay. And this is a big, big, big deal. I'm repeating myself on purpose. It's a really big deal. Okay. People are not only exposed to so much absolute poison in the foods that they're eating every day. Okay. But then on top of that, you are being exposed to things from the soil, from your water, from your air. And depending on what your genetics are and how you've taken care of your health in the past, you're probably building up those toxins. You're probably not releasing them because your cells can't do it, because your cells haven't had everything they've needed to do it. I hope this is all starting to come together. All these little puzzle pieces dropping in for you, right? And it's a lot of things. It's overgrowths in your gut health, different bacteria, viruses, protozoa, parasites of different kinds. It's heavy metals, it's glyphosate, it's herbicides, pesticides, endocrine disrupting chemicals, it's food additives, it's microplastics. And that's just the chemical side. What about all the toxins that come from some pretty bad bugs that we're exposed to? What about the Lyme disease? What about the COVID virus? What about cytomegalovirus? What about Epstein-Barr virus? What about, there's so many different bugs that we get exposed to. And when I say bugs, I'm using a general term for, bacteria, virus, protozoa, parasites, all of that. Okay. We get exposed to these things. And normally, if our cells had everything they needed, if we weren't overloaded with toxins, if we weren't overloaded with stress, and we did know how to take care of our genetics and our mitochondria, then we could get exposed. We could get bit by a tick every day, all day, and we would not develop chronic Lyme disease. Okay? And that's because our immune system would be strong and healthy, and we would be able to fight these things off. That's why some people fight it off and some people become chronically ill. But Lyme disease does not have to stick around forever. Same with Epstein-Barr. Okay? And I'm talking about the symptoms. If people want to get into those deeper nuances of how the immune system works and how a little piece of whatever you're exposed to is always going to be in the body, but that doesn't mean that it's always there chronically causing you a disease. No, it does not have to be. So all these Facebook groups that talk about how Lyme disease is always chronic and you can't get rid of it. I'm just saying bull cookies. Mm-hmm. Same with autoimmune diseases. No, lupus. Oh, no, lupus. It's a chronic thing. Once you have it, you're screwed. You're done. It's over. There's nothing you can do except just listen to your rheumatologist and keep taking all those meds that they keep pushing down your throat. Okay? Those meds are also causing cellular deficiencies. They're causing your cells and your mitochondria not to have everything that they need. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen people come to me with specific genetics And the doctor has never done the test for their genetics, and they're not even operating at that level. They're not even operating at that depth, at that deeper scientific root cause level. And so they are literally causing their own patient's genes to express in a very negative way, they are causing the signs and symptoms of the autoimmune disease with the medication that they're giving for autoimmune diseases. And they did it to me too. So I know I was a victim of that as well. Okay. You need this information. And you need to be able to give these scientific papers to your doctor so that they can learn. Because that's where we're at right now. We're in the evolution of medicine where we know the root causes, we know many of them. We know why people are getting sick. We know why there's an epidemic of autoimmune diseases, diabetes, metabolic disorders of all kinds, even in children, heart disease, even in children, cancers, even in children. This is ridiculous. And it's really happened over the last 50 years or so. That's not a genetic problem. That's a toxic problem. That's a food problem. That's a lifestyle problem. And we can fix it. We know we can. Thousands of people have done it. You can do it too. So don't believe that you're broken, because that's really, of everything, that is step number one. If we don't give you the hope and help you to see the science so that you know that you can do this too, you'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the saddest thing. That's the thing that breaks my heart. When I try to talk to people about this and I try to give them the answer, it's like, hey, I got it right here. I'm trying to give it to you. And you don't accept it because some doctor told you that you're permanently broken. Or you don't accept it because you know that you've tried this supplement or that supplement and it didn't work, so therefore that's it. But you're listening to this today, which means there's something in you that's saying, I know there has to be something that I can do. And I'm telling you that there really is. That God has given us the science. We do know what the root causes are. We know how to help you at the mitochondrial level for your energy, at the genetic level for very specific things, at the cellular level to make sure your cells have everything they need, and at the toxic level to get rid of all those toxins that are blocking your healing. And when we do all that, and we do it under the umbrella of God wanting you to heal, because He does. You know, He wouldn't have sent His Son. And what was the first thing that Jesus always did when He came upon new people? The first thing He did was He healed them, right? So of course God wants you healed. Of course He wants you to be able to accomplish everything that He created you for. Of course He does. And yeah, we live in a pretty messed up world. We live in a fallen world. We live in a world that's loaded with toxins and loaded with disinformation and loaded with lies. But you don't have to live in those lies. You don't have to live under old school medical doctrine it's just no longer true. But yet doctors are still treating people like this. You can live according to new knowledge. You can constantly grow. You can constantly change. You can constantly learn. And when you do that, your life will get better and better. Am I making sense to anyone? The more we learn, the more we grow. I like to say the more we align with God's design, because He created us, right? He knows what we need. And scientists know what's causing your disease. It's those root causes, okay? Let's say them again. So everybody gets this. I want everybody to get this. It's your food choices that are bringing in toxins or that are just not giving your cells everything that they need. It's your lifestyle practices that are causing your genes to express in ways that are causing inflammation, and you're turning off genes that help you in healing. And you need to learn how to twist that around so that you can up regulate genes that lower inflammation, that cause healing, that help your cells to do everything that they need to do. Lots of people, one of the first questions they'll ask is, well, does this work for diabetes? Yes. Does this work for lupus? Yes. Does this work for scleroderma? Yes. Does this work for whatever disease? There's over 100 names of different autoimmune diseases, and they're growing. Why do you think they're growing? Because they're all based on the same root causes. It's just a different combination of root causes in different people. And that's why we see different expressions of disease, but it all boils down to the same things: your nutrition, your lifestyle, and your toxins are causing you to be sick. And we can specifically do the testing to see exactly what those problems are and then boop, start fixing them, right? Start taking very precise action. And this is why the system that we use works so well. And I had to develop the system over 10 years because I saw what was working. I'm learning from some of the most amazing geniuses in the world, some of the best scientists, some of the best immunologists, some of the best toxicologists in the world, some of the best geneticists. And people are all coming at this from different angles. And of course, if you're a geneticist, you think it's all about, more about the genes. If you're a mitochondrial person, you think it's more about the mitochondria, right? If you're an immunologist, it's more about immune tolerance, right? But you need to put all of that together. And everybody pretty much knows this. And so as long as you're doing it, you can get better. And what we actually see in practice, and this is good for any of you doctors, nurse practitioners out there, health coaches that are helping people, you need to know that functional medicine can help people anywhere from 50% to feel better all the way up to 100%, right? It really depends on how well you as a practitioner are able to identify the exact root causes and how much of an expert you are at removing those root causes, fixing the cellular deficiencies, giving the people everything that their cells need while removing all the toxins, and doing it at all levels, at the genetic level, at the mitochondrial level, at the cellular level. I hope this is making sense. Okay? Because this is what it takes to heal. There is no other way, guys. There is no quick fix. There is no easy way. Well, this is easy. It's a lot easier than being sick. So I don't want to make it seem as though it's impossible to do, because it certainly isn't. It's actually a lot easier to walk through the steps of getting healthy with knowledge and with testing right in front of you than it is to sit around being sick, getting worse, not addressing your root causes, and worrying about it all the time and losing your life. So it is much easier to do the work that you need to do to get well. I'm going to drop our phone number, which is 760-460-4349. That's the main number to the Cellular Healing and Longevity Center. When you call, just leave your name and phone number, leave your email, and one of our team members will get right back to you, usually within about 24 business hours. Absolutely recommend that you grab that program. It's 27 bucks, so anybody can afford this. We've done this on purpose because we know that if you get started even on a basic mitochondria program that you will start to feel a difference. And this is going to start changing your mindset about your own illness. You're going to start realizing that, yeah, there is something that I can do. And then from there, helping you with getting your testing done. We do everything here. We're a one stop shop. We've been helping people around the world for 10 years. So we have access to every advanced test that is available. We're here to help you at whatever level you're ready for, whatever you can do. But everyone must start at that mitochondrial level. Okay. Because if you don't have enough energy, you're not going to be able to do anything. Right? And of course, you feel so much better when we start teaching you that you really can have better energy. You really can. And of course, if you have more questions about it, we're always here to answer your questions. This is my legacy. This is the baby that God gave me. And so, we want to make sure that you have everything you need to be taken care of now and in the future. And also, I want to remind people that we do have a certification program that is starting in January. Now, we've always been helping doctors, but now we have a brand new certification program. Doctors were coming to us because, we were helping their patients, right? And so then they're contacting us, and it just evolved very organically that these doctors wanted to work with us in order to learn what we were doing. So we just started mentoring doctors and nurse practitioners and health coaches. And then several of our clients became health coaches and they wanted more training. And it's become this organic thing. So we decided to actually make that a new part of our company. And it is a full certification program that will be beginning in January. So if you are a practitioner and you would like to learn how to help your patients more, then you can get involved with that certification program, and you can call our office and we'll be happy to talk to you about everything that entails. Okay. And the other thing that I want to make sure that I mention is that we are a Christian ministry. I know I said that before, but one of our mandates, and it has always been our mandate, is to help everyone that we can. Meaning that we want to make sure that whatever financial level you're at, we're not the typical what you would think of. Sometimes functional medicine has a little bit of a bad reputation, and especially like if you put the word precision in front of it or you put longevity practice, right? People get the impression that it's only for the rich, it's only for the ultra rich, right? And while there are practices out there like that, ours is not one of them. So, one of our mandates is to keep this as affordable as we possibly can for you. All right. And so we have various different programs at all different prices for people. So, wherever your financial level is, I'm sure you can do this. Okay. And that's why we start you off with a $27 program that's really worth so much more than that. But we just want to get this into your hands. And what's the truth? We know that if we get this into your hands and you actually do it, you actually do start to feel a little bit different and you start to feel more in control and a little bit better, then you are going to want to do some of the next steps. You are going to want to order some more advanced testing. You're going to want to do some deeper work on your health. You're going to want to start working on your cellular deficiencies, working on your genetics, working on your toxic overload. You're going to want to do that work. And we hope that you'll choose us to do that work with. And it is very affordable. There's even medical funding to help people. There's just so much you can do. So please don't get stuck in that mindset that, you can't do this for whatever reason, because you really can. And God wants you to hear this message. He wants you to know that, yeah, you don't have to stay stuck. There really are things that you can do, and you really can feel better. That is the truth. All right. I love you guys. Thank you for being here in the community today. If there's anything else we can help you with, just give us a call, send us a text. We are here for you. And make sure that you check out our YouTube channel, our Instagram. Make sure that you follow us wherever you do your social media. We're on all the platforms. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye bye.